Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Physicist. I'm so glad you found your way here. Whether you're tucked snugly under blankets, settled into a quiet corner as evening falls, or gently drifting off with headphones on, this is your place. It's a space created for both rest and wonder. Tonight's story may take you on a journey across vast stretches of time and space, but it asks nothing of you except to breathe, relax, and listen. If your thoughts wander, that's completely okay. Just let them float. This isn't a lecture, it's a scientific lullaby. If you find this kind of nighttime science comforting or intriguing, I'd be truly grateful if you'd quietly leave a like. Subscribing helps others who are looking for a peaceful mind find their way here. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can use the Super Thanks button or consider becoming a channel member. It genuinely means the world. Now, please get comfortable. Let's start somewhere calm, somewhere still, right at the beginning. Part 1, Entropy and Light Speed. You're lying under a sky so immense it no longer feels like a ceiling, but like a soft ocean of stars gently holding your thoughts like driftwood. The air is motionless. The world is silent. In this quiet, we start to notice things we usually overlook. That time is always moving even now. That warmth slowly leaves your fingertips. That every breath is a unique, passing moment that won't ever be exactly the same again. This is entropy, and it's as present with us as your own heartbeat. Far above you, or perhaps all around you, light is in a constant race, always at the same speed, never faster, never slower. It sets the pace for the cosmos like a silent conductor, a fundamental limit that even the deepest parts of reality must obey. Entropy and light speed. One defines change, and the other defines boundaries. Together, they form the framework through which everything flows. Let's pause on that thought. Imagine you're standing by a calm pond, its surface as flat as glass. You toss in a small stone, a memory, a thought, and ripples spread outward. That's entropy, the spreading, the unfolding. Once a pattern is disrupted, it doesn't return, it moves forward, expanding into something broader, softer, less sharp and distinct. Now, picture a bird flying over that same pond. Its reflection skims across the surface. No matter how fast it flies, its image never goes past the ripples. There is a limit, not just of speed, but of reach. That's light speed. You might think of light as brightness, but tonight, I want you to think of it as rhythm. It's the maximum speed at which anything, energy, information, gravity, can ever travel. It's not just fast, it's absolute. Light doesn't choose this speed, it's not trying to outrun anything. It simply is 299, 792, 458 miles everywhere, always. No matter how you try to catch up to it, you can't. And because of this, we have time. You see, time isn't just a tick-tock thing. It's a relationship between events, like between heat and cold, or light and motion. Entropy gives it its direction. Light speed gives it its shape. So, while you're here resting and listening somewhere else in the universe, light from a distant galaxy is only just arriving, millions or even billions of years after it started its journey. This isn't because it's slow, but because space itself is expanding. The light never stops, it just reaches you late, like a postcard from the early universe finding its way across eons. And even as that light travels, entropy continues its work. Patiently and inevitably. A cup of tea cooling. A star burning out. A thought fading from memory. Everything is slowly moving toward equilibrium. Not in a rush, not with a purpose to destroy, but with quiet persistence. This might sound like decay, but tonight I invite you to see it differently. Entropy isn't about destruction, it's about transition. It's a letting go of rigid patterns, a softening of the sharp edges of order. Like breath misting up a mirror, it's delicate, fleeting, and beautiful in its honesty. And so, between the soft breath of entropy and the steady pace of light, the universe unfolds slowly and gracefully, like turning a page in a book made of stars. You are part of this story. Your body generates heat and carries signals as electrical pulses. Entropy is at work in your muscles, in your neurons, in your dreams. And within your eyes, light is traveling, not just from the outside but from within, bouncing, bending, and reflecting. This light obeys the very same rules as galaxies spinning light years away. In this way, the cosmos isn't just out there. It's right here. You embody its rules. You are part of its rhythm. Entropy and light speed aren't obstacles, they are poetry, the grammar of everything. And like all poetry, they hold a mystery. Why should there be a limit to speed? Why should disorder always increase? We don't have all the answers, but we can feel the rhythm. We can sense it in the cooling air, in a fading memory, in the quiet spaces between words. And that's where we'll go next, into the silence of the fastest whisper. The next part will follow the path of light itself, traveling not with noise, but with stillness. Because the fastest thing in the universe never makes a sound. Part 20, Light's journey, there is no sound in the vacuum of space. No wind, no waves, no rustling leaves. And yet, something is always moving, steadily without pause. Light, it travels through the vastness without touching anything, without needing air, without needing time to gather itself, without needing rest. You're used to light arriving instantly, filling a room, waking you up, bouncing off a mirror, or catching in a window pane. But light isn't just brightness, it's a journey. And tonight, we'll walk alongside it. If you could travel with a beam of light, you would never feel motion. There would be no blur, no rush of speed, just arrival. But you can't, not really, because light is fast in a way we can barely comprehend. It's roughly 300,000 numbers every second. That's the number we know, but let's slow it down not in speed, but in meaning. Picture Earth. Now, imagine circling it, not once in a day, but 7.5 times in a single second. That's what light does, constantly and effortlessly. It's the universe's fastest traveler, but it makes no sound, no engine, no roar, no ripple, just the gentlest whisper moving through space, painting everything it touches. And yet, for all its speed, light is bound. Nothing can be faster. Not particles, not signals, not even thought. Why? Because the universe itself has rules, and light, surprisingly, doesn't just follow those rules, it defines them. Light is the universe's messenger of information. When you see a star, you're receiving its story, one sent a very long time ago. The farther the star, the older the story. In this way, light carries memory. A galaxy a billion light years away sent its light before Earth had trees, before you, before this moment. But that light is only just reaching us now because the universe is so vast. And light, for all its speed, must travel the long way across emptiness and time. Here's where the wonder begins. Light doesn't just move through space, it reveals space. It allows us to see things as they were, not as they are. Every time you look into the night sky, you are looking back in time, because light moves at a fixed speed, not instantaneously but precisely. With a star 10 light years away, you're seeing it as it was 10 years ago. It's now, is still on the way. So, light becomes a time machine, not for physical travel, but for vision. And it gets even stranger because the speed of light is the same for everyone. No matter where you are or how fast you're moving, it remains unchanged. This sounds simple, but it fundamentally changes how reality behaves. If you try to chase light, it doesn't matter how fast you go, light still pulls ahead at the exact same pace. So the universe adjusts something else instead, time and space. When things move very quickly, time slows down and lengths shrink. This isn't imaginary, it's not an illusion. It's been measured again and again. A clock on a speeding rocket ticks slower than a clock on Earth. A moving object shortens in the direction of its motion. This happens not because of friction, but because of the very nature of light. Light speed is the constant. Everything else, space-time, your very sense of before and after, adjusts around it. You can't go faster than light, and not because you're not fast enough, but because the universe simply isn't built that way. Light isn't just a speed limit, it's a boundary of understanding. It says, air, this far and no farther. What lies beyond that speed isn't forbidden by law, but by logic. To travel faster than light would mean arriving before you left. It would unravel cause and effect. It would untangle time itself. So instead, the universe maintains its rhythm. Light moves at a steady pace, a whisper from star to star, a signal from atom to atom. When your eyes catch the flicker of a candle, the message it carries came from a photon, a single particle of light traveling at that perfect, unchangeable speed. Even inside your own body, light is moving. Your thoughts aren't made of light, but they rely on signals, some carried as electricity, some as photons. Your sense of sight, your awareness of color, even the glow behind your eyelids as you fall asleep, these are all tiny echoes of light. It's both distant and deeply personal, and it never, ever breaks its own rule. The stillness of light isn't in its speed, but in its predictability. A rock might tumble, a planet might wobble, but light remains true. The universe, therefore, isn't drawn in lines but in light. It outlines galaxies, carves shadows, reveals what was, and hints at what may be. And yet, for all its clarity, light cannot show us everything. Some places are too far. Some things happen behind horizons where even light cannot escape. There are edges in the universe where the light stops coming, places where speed, time, and gravity twist together into mystery. And that's where we'll drift next, to the still, silent spaces where the fastest thing in the cosmos can go no further. Part 30. The direction of time. There's something in the quiet that always moves forward. Even as you lie still, wrapped in warmth and shadows, something continues. Not loudly, not quickly, but constantly. It's not the ticking of a clock. Clocks are human. This is deeper than timepieces, older than sundials, more patient than calendars. This is entropy. You don't have to chase it, it will find you, not like a storm but like a whisper. Entropy is the measure of irreversible change. The crumpling of paper, the melting of ice, the scattering of footprints in sand. Once something spreads out, it doesn't unspread. Not on its own, not without effort, and not without some kind of loss. You can think of entropy as the softest direction the universe prefers. Not because it's broken, but because it's generous with motion. A teacup falls and shatters. You can sweep up the pieces. You can glue them back together. But the warmth, the shape, the stillness, they're gone. That's entropy. The cup didn't just break, it moved toward more possible arrangements, from one perfect form to 1,000 broken ones. Entropy isn't destruction, it's variety. The more ways a thing can be, the more likely it becomes. And so, as time passes, things move from order to freedom. Imagine a deck of cards perfectly sorted, with all the reds together and numbers in a neat line. Now, shuffle them. That's entropy rising. You didn't destroy the deck, you gave it more options, more possible states, more mess. And though the chance of shuffling it back into perfect order is not zero, it is so incredibly small, you could shuffle for 1,000,000 lifetimes and never see it return. That's why entropy feels like time. Because once something unfolds, it doesn't fold back the same way. And so you feel time not as numbers, but as a direction. Your tea cools. Your breath mists and fades. Memories move backward, but only in dreams. Time flows forward because entropy is always rising. This is why you can remember the past but not the future. Because the past had less entropy, fewer ways it could have been. It was more ordered, structured, and constrained. And every second since it has loosened. The universe began in a low entropy state, smooth, dense, and glowing. From there, it has bloomed. Stars formed, burned, and died. Planets spun, clouds drifted, mountains eroded, and here you are, made of stardust. Made of molecules that once belonged to oceans and leaves and ancient skies. You aren't separate from entropy, you carry it. In every cell of your body, work is happening. Energy transforms, fuel becomes warmth, heat rises, and order loosens. Even your dreams and thoughts are guided by entropy's soft hand. Because thinking is not a still thing. It moves, it flows. It uses energy and leaves trails. Not footprints in the sand, but tiny imbalances in the brain. And once they're made, they don't perfectly erase. Entropy means no moment can be exactly repeated. Even if everything seems the same, some tiny detail shifts. A breath is longer. A neuron fires slightly sooner. This is what gives life its texture. Entropy gives time its thickness, its softness, its unique direction. It's why we can never go back, not truly. We can rebuild, recreate, remember, but never undo. And this isn't sad, it's simply the shape of change. Entropy is not an enemy, it's a guide. Without it, nothing would ever happen. No melting, no cooking, no dreaming, no difference between then and now. It's the slow unfolding of possibility. It's what allows the future to be different from the past. Even light, as fast and pure as it is, follows this arrow. A photon can bounce, it can be absorbed. But once it moves, it does not return. Its journey is one way. The light you see now from stars long dead is traveling along entropy's path. It cannot turn back. It cannot forget. And yet, in this movement, there is beauty. There is warmth in tea. There is softness in breath. There is wonder in the way order gives way to form, and form gives way to motion, and motion gives way to stillness. You may feel the quiet now, the slowness of your heartbeat, the weight of rest. But within you, entropy continues softly, kindly, without judgment. And it is the same arrow the stars follow in galaxies, and time itself. So as you sink deeper into stillness, you're not falling away from the universe. You're following its rhythm. You're moving with it, not against it. There is no going back, only going deeper and ahead. Just beyond your reach, something waits not behind you, but ahead in the story of change. There, a new question begins to form. How does the very expansion of the universe carry entropy forward? And what does it mean when space itself begins to stretch? Part 40, Cosmic Expansion and Dark Energy. You are now floating. Not through water, not through air, but through space itself, soft, cold, and vast. There's no ope, no, doubtward, always outward. The universe isn't static. It breathes in a strange, invisible way, and you are inside that breath. With each passing second, the cosmos stretches, not into something, but within itself. Galaxies drift apart like tiny boats on a dark ocean that's growing wider, not because they're paddling away, but because the water between them is expanding. This is cosmic expansion. It's not movement through space, but the expansion of space. It began long ago with a bang, not of noise, but of energy, the Big Bang. From a point of incredible density, the universe began to unfold. And in that unfolding, entropy had its first breath. Not chaos or confusion, but potential. You see, when the universe was young, it was smooth, hot, and uniform. No stars, no galaxies, just evenly spread light and energy. Oddly, this was a low entropy state because with so few ways to arrange itself, the universe had a kind of order. Then, as it cooled, structures formed. Tiny ripples became clouds, clouds became stars, stars gathered into galaxies. And with each formation, entropy rose because more variety emerged. More ways to arrange matter and energy, more pathways for the future. The universe didn't fall into disorder, it bloomed into complexity. And that complexity continued as expansion carried everything further apart. It might seem strange that spreading out leads to aging. But imagine a balloon. When it's small, all its patterns are tightly packed. As you blow it up, those patterns stretch, fade, and soften. That's the universe. The stars you see now are farther away than they were yesterday, and tomorrow they'll be farther still. But you wouldn't feel this movement. It isn't a wind or a push, it's distance becoming more distant, and with that distance comes cooling. Long ago, the universe glowed white-hot. Today it glows in microwaves, a faint, invisible whisper of light called the cosmic microwave background. This ancient, cold glow, only a few degrees above absolute zero, bathes everything in the same gentle radiation from billions of years ago, and it's still growing colder. Entropy guides this too. As energy spreads out, heat flows into cold air until one day everything is the same. That sameness is the far horizon of entropy, not a fire but a fading. And still, light moves through this expanding space, stretched, thinned, and reddened. As space grows, light's waves stretch too. What was once blue becomes red. What was once bright becomes soft. This redshift isn't just a color change, it's age, it's distance, it's time itself being pulled longer. So you see, the universe ages not in wrinkles but in wavelengths, in expansion, in silence. You are part of this expansion. Your atoms once belonged to stars that formed when galaxies were closer. Your thoughts are carried by particles that move through a space older than memory. Entropy rises within you even as the universe gently ages around you. This doesn't mean decay. It means unfolding, like a flower opening petal by petal into something wider. And those stars will one day fade and galaxies will drift beyond view. The universe isn't ending. It's transforming even as it expands. It carries its story in light, and that light carries memory. There's something comforting about this, isn't there? That the stars remember each other through the light they gave. That space, even in its stillness, remembers where it came from. And that time, as marked by entropy, has never stopped unfolding its soft direction. The arrow that began at the Big Bang still points forward. It pulls everything outward, not in chaos, but in rhythm. And as the universe expands, it becomes less crowded, more silent, but also more peaceful. Like a room that was once noisy, becoming still as the evening deepens. And in that stillness, new questions appear. Where does this expansion come from? What drives it? This breath that never exhales. The answer may lie in something stranger still, something that doesn't glow, doesn't scatter, but presses outward. A force not seen but felt, a presence called dark energy. Part 5 time light, and gravity. Close your eyes and imagine the night sky, not just as it appears, a quiet ceiling shattered with stars, but as it was. Because nothing you see up there is happening right now. Every star is a memory. Every twinkle is a message sent long ago, only just arriving. You're not looking at the sky as it is, but as it was. And that means you're already traveling through time. Light carries not just brightness but delay. Its journey is long, even at its unfathomable speed. And because of that delay, we glimpse the past with every glance upward. A star 20 light-years away shows you its light from 20 years ago. That star might be dim now or gone, but its past is still moving, still reaching, still arriving on your eyes tonight. Light, then, is not just sight, it is time made visible. And time, as strange as it seems, is woven from the fabric of light's motion. Let's sit with that. Imagine a lighthouse on a distant, rocky shore. Its beam sweeps across the sea, a signal, a guide. Now, imagine that the beam takes years to reach the sailors, and by the time it lights their sails, the person who sent it is long gone. This is the universe's way, lighthouses of stars, messages delayed. Because light travels at a fixed pace and space is vast, we can look deeper and see further into the past, not with a time machine, but with a telescope. Astronomers peer into ancient galaxies whose light began traveling before Earth had oceans. They watch the birth of stars that happened before life began. It's all there, still arriving, still unfolding. And this brings us to a strange truth. The deeper you look into space, the further you reach into time. Space and time aren't separate. They are threads of the same tapestry. What happens in one shapes the other. This is space-time. It's not just a stage for the universe, but the very fabric of it, flexible and alive. Light moves through this fabric like a needle through cloth, stitching together moments, marking the rhythm of cause and effect. It's how we know what happened when. It's how we define before and after. Without light, there is no time that we could know, because light doesn't just mark time, it gives time its structure. Let's drift a little closer. Now, think of your day. You wake with the sun, its rays stretching across your room. Later, the sky glows red at dusk. Each moment is shaped by light's arrival. Each second is measured by how long it takes for light to reach your eyes, your clock, your understanding. Even time inside your body is tracked with light like signals. Neurons firing, chemical pulses, electrical sparks, all obeying the same limit, the speed at which information moves. And yet, light is more than a messenger. It's a kind of ruler, not one that measures length, but one that measures consistency. Because no matter how fast you move, light's speed remains unchanged. You could fly toward it or away from it, and it would still meet you at exactly the same pace. So, the universe adapts. If speed cannot shift light's pace, then time must bend instead. This is time dilation. When you move very quickly, closer and closer to the speed of light, your time stretches. Seconds lengthen. Moments drift. You age more slowly than someone who stands still. This isn't fantasy, it's a fact. It's been measured with satellites, with astronauts, with particles racing in circular paths. Time itself is not fixed. It bends to keep light speed steady. And that means your experience of time is never absolute. It depends on where you are, how fast you're going, what gravity you feel. Because gravity bends time too. A clock near a mountain's base ticks slower than one at the summit. It's a small difference, but it's measurable. The closer you are to something heavy, the more space-time dips, and the more time slows. This is called gravitational time dilation, and it means even here on Earth, your time is not the same as someone else's. Tiny differences, but real ones. All of it, speed, gravity, delay, is woven together through light, and yet, you feel none of this. To you, time feels steady, rhythmic, and comfortable because your body adjusts, your mind adapts. You live inside a bubble of perception that floats gently through this complex fabric. But still, the truth remains. You are wrapped in a reality where time flows not because clocks tick, but because light travels. Because light takes time. Because light cannot be faster. And entropy, that quiet guide, leans forward as well, nudging time in a single direction. So as you rest here, still and silent, you are inside a flow that began with light, stretched with space, and continues through you. You are not watching time, you are time, moving, becoming. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear it, a soft stretching of moments, like silk unraveling in the dark. But this delicate fabric is not alone. Something else affects time. Something that doesn't shine, doesn't glow, but presses outward still. A force we cannot see yet feel in the way galaxies flee, growing faster, not slower. The universe is expanding, but why is it speeding up? Ahead, in the quiet curve of the next thought, we'll meet a mystery that fills the space between galaxies. A presence that hums through everything and may never let the universe stop growing. Part 60. Entropy. In a teacup, you cradle a warm cup between your palms. Its heat gently presses into your skin, not in a rush, but in a slow, steady sigh. And though you may not see it, something invisible is unfolding, a soft, quiet transformation. This is entropy. And tonight, it lives in your teacup. Not loudly, not destructively, but tenderly, patiently, and inevitably. The warmth of the tea isn't staying put. Even as you sit, even as you breathe, its energy is slipping outward, into your hands, into the air, into the wide room around you. Bit by bit, the difference between hot and cold blurs. This is entropy's quiet work, the journey from distinction to balance, from concentrated heat to gentle sameness. It starts in small places, a cup, a candle, a quiet breath, but it reflects something much greater. Because the same law that cools your tea guides the stars. It moves through galaxies. It hums inside every cell of your body. Entropy isn't only about disorder, it's about sharing. The spreading of energy until it's evenly distributed, until no more work can be done because there is no longer a difference. Your tea starts hot because it holds more energy. The room is cooler. And so energy flows from the tea to the air, from the liquid to your hand, until they reach an agreement. Not hot, not cold, but balanced. And that balance, once reached, cannot be reversed on its own. To make the tea hot again, you must intervene. You must bring energy in from somewhere else. A microwave, a stove, a flame. And in doing that, you cause entropy to rise elsewhere. Because energy doesn't disappear. It moves. It spreads. It transforms. This is the law of thermodynamics. The universe never loses energy, but it does lose useful energy. Energy that can create contrast, drive motion, and sustain life. Entropy doesn't erase energy, it just softens it, blurs it, until it becomes still. Now imagine a drop of cream falling into your tea. It curls in beautiful spirals at first. Then the swirls grow wider and less defined until the cream is fully mixed. It's no longer separate, it's just one new whole. You could stir it backward, but the swirls won't unmake themselves. You can't undrop the cream. Entropy doesn't allow it. This, too, is part of time's arrow. Once a thing changes, melts, cools, or spreads, it doesn't spontaneously reverse. The tea won't get hotter. The cream won't jump back into the spoon. The silence won't return to what was said. And yet there is beauty in this, because every act of sharing, every outward ripple of warmth, every sigh of energy into the air, connects you to everything. You're not separate from entropy. You're made from it. Your body stays alive by keeping certain differences in place. Warm inside, cooler outside, concentrated energy in your cells, signals moving through nerves. But slowly, even this will soften. Even living things move toward balance. You digest food, you breathe, you sleep. In each moment, entropy rises inside you. Not with a sense of loss, but with a sense of flow. And just like your tea, you release tiny waves of heat into the world around you. Tiny but real. The energy you no longer need joins the soft background of the room. The air, the sky. The universe listens, and it remembers, because all entropy ever does is take something intense and turn it into something wide, even fair. Now, think of the stars again. They burn brightly because they hold extraordinary differences, intense pressure, blazing heat. But over time, they too release their energy. They too soften. They too will one day go quiet, just like your tea, just like your breath. Entropy is not destruction, it is reunion. A return from distinction to belonging. And maybe that's what comfort is, when everything is balanced, when nothing pulls too hard, when energy doesn't need to move anymore. There's a peacefulness in that, a cosmic stillness. You may feel small in the face of the universe, but entropy brings connection. The same rule that cools your cup guides galaxies. It tells us that everything changes, but in a way that's soft, predictable, and strangely kind. So, as your tea cools beside you, notice the quiet. The fading warmth isn't a loss. It's part of the flow. And tomorrow, that heat may rise in another cup, another hand, another home. Energy never vanishes. It simply becomes what comes next. And as you lie back now, perhaps a little warmer inside, you might begin to wonder, how does gravity, that great invisible pull, shape this rising of entropy in the stars themselves? What happens when order collapses under its own weight and becomes a furnace of light? Part 7a, Light, Gravity, and Space-Time. There's a stillness in space that isn't emptiness. It's more like a waiting, a kind of poised, silent awareness. In this silence, light moves, steady and unstoppable, but not untouched. Because even something as fast, as loyal, and as constant as light isn't entirely free. Gravity reaches for it, not like a wall or with hands, but with curves, with presence, with a weight that doesn't need to press to make itself known. And so begins the quiet dance, light and gravity, space-time and motion, all pulled together in a choreography shaped by mass. You see, gravity isn't just a force, it's a bending, a shaping of the very fabric of space and time. Imagine laying a heavy marble on a soft sheet. Watch how the cloth curves around it. Place another marble nearby. It rolls inward, drawn not by strings but by the shape of the fabric itself. This is how gravity works. Mass tells space how to curve, and curved space tells light how to move. And so light follows these curves, not because it chooses to, but because the path of least resistance is no longer straight. This bending of light has a name: gravitational lensing. It means that starlight, which may have started in a straight line, finds itself arcing around massive objects, galaxies, black holes, clusters of stars. From Earth, we may see that light coming from a slightly different angle, arriving from multiple paths at once. One star becomes two. One galaxy appears mirrored. Light echoes through gravity's influence. It's not a distortion, it's a memory of mass, of motion, of the invisible shaping what is seen. But there's more. Gravity doesn't only bend light's path, it changes time itself. In deep gravitational wells, time slows down. Light passing through these regions seems to stretch, its waves pulled longer. This is called gravitational redshift, a shift not of color alone, but of meaning. It tells us that time and light aren't separate threads but one tapestry, folding, pulling, and changing shape in response to mass. Now imagine standing near a massive star. Its pull is strong. Your clock ticks slower than your friend's, who is far away in the calm of deep space. Light leaving the star's surface climbs upward against the curve of gravity, and in doing so, it loses energy. Its frequency drops, it turns redder, softer, more tired. Light doesn't stop, but it yields. It adapts. Even the fastest thing in the universe is humbled by gravity's presence. And the closer we get to something truly massive, like a black hole, the more profound this bending becomes. Near the edge of a black hole, even light cannot escape. Not because it's slow, but because space itself has turned inward. Time has slowed to a near stop, and the path forward loops back on itself. This boundary has a name: the event horizon, the last line light may cross. Once past it, nothing returns, not even information. To an outside observer, a photon approaching the horizon slows, reddens, and fades. Time stretches infinitely. Motion grinds to stillness. And though the light was once vibrant, once fast and free, it now becomes a whisper lost in the fold of space. And yet from another view, from the photon's own path, there is no delay, no pause, only forward. This paradox is part of gravity's gift. It doesn't only pull objects together. It pulls reality into many versions of truth, all valid, all strange, all connected. And so we begin to see that even the most fundamental concepts are not as simple as they seem.